Okay, I'm going to do a video on source, God, and karma. So, long story short, source is everything. And literally everything. That's it. Long story short, source is everything. And so, when people talk about going back to source, and I'm going to use 3D, 4D terminology here, but there's the all that is, and then think of like a giant web, and parts of source can go out and play games to have experiences. Still directly related and connected to source, has access, everything still has access to what source is. It's still all source. It's just that separate parts of source can take on separate personalities, so to speak, and have experiences. But everything altogether is source. Okay, that's what I call source. Now, how somebody else defines source, I can't say. That's how I define source. Okay? So the next part of this is God. Well, my question, and I think the question from Feel Flow Free was, what is the difference between source and God? Well, which God? Okay? There's your answer. All gods are a part of source, but source alone is not a single God. All gods are a part of source. And any and all gods, whether it's Jehovah or Satan or Thor or any of the goddess or goddesses, Allah, Jehovah, all of those guys. You've got your modern ones, but there have been a lot of gods and goddesses over the years since humans have been humans. So any and all gods that have been created by the creator humans are a part of source, just like all humans are. All gnats are. All molecules are. So every god is a part of source, but source is not one particular god. Okay, so does that answer that question? It's really kind of short. She suggested I put it in a chapter, but I'm not sure how I could make that into a chapter, because that's pretty much it. Okay? So I know modern day people think that they've got their God and their God is the God, but guess what? Everybody else thought the same thing, guys. Every area, every civilization, every religion, every whatever, they all thought that their God was the God, or their gods and goddesses were the gods and goddesses. They didn't just go, oh, well, we're faking it until the real truth comes along. No, they really believed it as surely as what Christians believe and everybody else. Okay? All gods and goddesses are a part of source. Source is not one god or goddess. Source is all things. Period. And you are tied to that. So therefore you are a creator God. So is everything else. Okay? And that's about all I have to say about that. So I went ahead and decided to add karma to this because I knew the first two things were going to be very short from my perspective. So I'm going to add karma to this because it's distressing to me. And I know that just about every bit of information that has been handed humans over time to help them has been twisted into something else and causing trouble. And I hope that what I have to say, that doesn't happen with. That is my intent. But truly, really anybody could take what I have to say and make it into anything and do anything with it. And that's their right, I guess, isn't it? So, but the whole karma thing is, there's truth and there's not truth in it. And the not truth is that it's linear. Okay? That there is a good and a bad. No, there's not. That there's a low and a high. No, there's not. But what the concept was, that the original sharers of karma were trying to put forth is that you can't jump timelines. You can't jump vibrations. You have to move through them. Okay? You have to move through them. Now, you can do that wicked fast. You can go from the most evil person to the best person, according to human standards, very, very rapidly. It's not a matter of slow or fast. And you don't have to pay a price. You don't have to do penance. You don't have to, if you're a bad person and you, let's say you rape somebody, you don't have to come back and live a life and be raped in order to progress to a better place. No, you don't have to do that at all. But in order to, if you're in time-space, you have to move through vibrations in a certain way. That's all that means. It also means that if you believe that you're a bad person and you need to pay, then yes, you do need to pay. Because you created it, not because it has to happen, but because you created it. So there's a combination there that there's truth and there's not truth. If you believe that you must suffer, then you must suffer. But not because anybody else said so, but because you said so. And then there is kind of a law, like the law of attraction. There's a law in time space based on belief systems, based on the way that it's set up. You kind of flow through, or from lower to upper. Oh, that's hard, because they're just, to me, they're not lower or upper. But from what your standpoint is, you must move through those things in time space. Now, once you die, if you don't reincarnate, and a lot of the Eastern religions that teach karma teach reincarnation, so they're telling you the truth. If you reincarnate, then you are coming back to Earth, so the chances are you believe that there is a karmic, old-fashioned belief system of you've got to do better and better and better, and you start as an amoeba and go to enlightenment. As long as you believe that, and as long as they believe that, they will reincarnate. And even though, if they're still believing that, when planet Earth goes to 5D, they'll reincarnate on another planet and continue that process. So from the standpoint based on beliefs, if you believe in a karmic cycle, then you will do the karmic cycle, because that's what you believe. Just like if you believe you're going to heaven, you will go to heaven when you die. That's it. No big deal. You did it. Your belief system decides it. But the original sharing of the information from a karmic standpoint was an explanation of a way for people to go from what you would consider lower or bad vibrations to higher ones, explaining that there's kind of a flow that you must go through. So to be patient. And this was a long time ago when this was shared, a long time ago, when vibrations were very, very low, very low. And then they got lower. So it was a way of trying to help people, and then people twisted it into a belief system, a dogma. And once belief systems and dogma get kicked in, man, they're a bitch to get out of. Man, they really are. And so if you've been raised, just like if you've been raised a Christian, then you have very, very indoctrinated belief systems that are incorporated with that. Well, the same thing is true with the Eastern religions, and that's a part of that karmic situation. Now, that was necessary in order to get to the lower vibes of 3D. You've heard me say that before. You can't have enlightened thinking and get to the lower vibes of 3D. So all those belief systems were made as an option in order to get to the lower vibes of 3D, to experience that area. That's how it happened. But that time is over now. So it doesn't mean that you can't believe in karma or penance, or that you're a sinner and you need to be saved or anything. That's just, like I've said before, a different path. That's all. It's not better, not worse than mine. It's just different, and I'm explaining how it works. So, if you believe in karma, the classic karma, that you must do better and better and better and better in order to raise your vibrations, in order to ascend, to get back to God/source, then that's exactly what you have to do. Okay, when I died, I did not, like I've said before, I just didn't buy into the whole religion of anybody's religion. I didn't buy into it at all. It just didn't feel right to me. And I looked at all of them. And it just felt hinky. It just seemed like there was something else going on. It felt like it was wrong. Now, being raised in a traumatic situation and kicking off that feeling things a lot, because I did in order to survive my childhood, I was very used to paying attention to that instinct that kicked off in me. So when I started doing studies of all different kinds of religions, and I did all different kinds of religions, you name it a major religion, I read a book about it, the books about it. But it just felt off. It felt wrong. It just didn't feel right. Well, then eventually over time I had to go to work and dropped all that curiosity that I had when I was 23 and went to work for the next 20 years trying to survive in 3D Earth. I didn't have time for spirituality. What time I did have, I followed things. I was a nurse. I was in the medical field. So I read psychology books, psychiatry books, trying to deal with trauma. And none of that worked either, by the way. And I tried everything except for paying for a psychiatrist or a therapist because I couldn't afford that. So I tried to do it all myself, and that didn't work either. So then I died, and I figured it, I found all of the information. I went, So there is truth to all things, and all things are truth, but they aren't the complete truth, and they aren't the whole truth. That's how it works. So anything can be your truth. Anything. You're a creator God. You can make anything truth. But your truth isn't the only truth, and your truth is not the complete truth. Okay? Everybody's truth is truth, and all of it together is the complete truth. All of it together. It's just, you got to think of it like they're each individual stories. Everybody's story, everybody's writing their own story. Everybody's story is accurate and true, but it is just their story, and it's only a small part of the big library. And the library is very, 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 very big. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to stop here. I think I've got it. And I think I'll just be repeating myself, which I do, as you well know. But I think I'm going to stop here and wait for y'all's questions. All right? And you tell me. I just don't know if I can make that into a chapter, and certainly not. I don't think I can do that with a follow-up book. It's like most big things. People really spend a lot of time talking about things that are the simplest things. Disengaging from beliefs is the difficulty. The fact that I can see them and say, yeah, that's a belief. No, you don't have to believe it. And help you stop believing it, or believe something else, or remember who you are. And the baby skunk is now awake. I am on night shift here, folks, so I have to go feed my baby skunk. Okay? And he still doesn't have a name. And no, we're not naming him Pepe Le Pew. That's too obvious. So, you guys got any ideas? Shoot him this way. All right. All right, huge hugs, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.